It's time. Delivery.
All right, thanks.
Whew. All right, good people, so it is time for the OnePlus 6. Hi, I'm looking for a case. Well, look no further. I got this beauty. The H700i by NZXT. With all steel premium frame with a side of tempered glass to beautifully showcase any cooling adventure you might pursue, and cable management system that you wish you had earlier. All this lit up with integrated RGB lighting and built-in fan control. The H700i. This one's for you. Oh, I'll take it. Alright, so the OnePlus 6 for me has been sort of a mixed experience from the beginning. This is my first notched phone. I don't really like the glass back. The included screen protector is super soft, and I recommend removing it for a far superior touch interface. And for the first week, this thing was super buggy, so the fingerprint scanner would just not work at all with me pressing it multiple times. Lots of app crashes, the camera was super slow, and it's very odd for a phone that's all about speed, you know? And while it is priced competitively, yet still higher than the 5T when that was launched, I was expecting a more polished delivery. Luckily, an OTA update fixed pretty much everything, because I was getting ready to go back to my 5T. But then it clicked that OnePlus 6 is there to give users that fresh perspective, not just from the traditional Android customization, but from the notch perspective too, by enabling it or disabling it, plus having that option to enable gestures control and remove the on-screen buttons, which are all great elements for that user customization. And if you're like me and like to change up your wallpaper every once in a while, you know, all these additional customization controls are like that additional backup of arsenal for you to play around with and you know, make you feel like you have a fresh device in your hand. Now, I've been using the 5T ever since launch, and there are a few build differences. First one is the glass back, which looks fantastic on video. Those beautiful reflections really help to sell you this like gorgeous and premium device, and it actually feels great in the hand too, as long as you cover some of that glass back with finger oils. And after a full day of use, it is an unpleasant reminder to wash your hands as often as possible. And this is where the previous aluminum body actually looks better after a full day of use, but the glass, no doubt, is grippier. It also scratches easier, so only after 3 weeks of use, the entire left side is somehow covered in these small visible scratches, and the full bottom too, so a skin or a case is definitely required just to avoid seeing the smudges on the glass and preserve the resale value in the 6 months time when the eventual 6T comes out. Seriously, the 6-month cycle of new devices from OnePlus is awesome, but how would you feel if you picked up the 5T recently and the 6 comes out, which is, in all aspects better. I do love the traditional sandstone cover. It feels great with the cutouts around the buttons, and the new nylon case is more of a bumper and provides a confident grip. The alert slider is now above the power button. I love this physical switch, but they have replaced the do not disturb function with the vibration mode instead, so all incoming notifications will vibrate instead of only the select favorites like we had on the 5T, but the do not disturb mode is still part of the quick settings instead. All buttons have satisfying clicky registration, but the vibration motor still sucks. It's audible on the table, but not in your pocket. The fingerprint sensor is less tactile and easy to miss. I like the harder edges on the aluminum frame. And we still have the face unlock that's super fast, no doubt. And you can either unlock directly into the home screen or allow you to view the notifications, but it is not secure and will unlock with like a face printout. It does not recognize me with a hat, and it even unlocks at like extreme angles like this, where I would not be looking at the camera and it would still unlock the phone. The camera bump is now centered for that symmetry with sharper housing, and you get some wobble on the surface, but whatever. And call quality and speakerphone are totally fine, no complaints here, just don't cover the single speaker at the bottom. The headphone jack is actually quite powerful, really good to drive headphones, and I don't mind the lack of wireless charging because dash charging is the reason I actually disabled the battery percentage. I never worry about this thing running out of juice because you can plug this thing for 20 minutes, get like 40% additional battery life. It's awesome. I only plug it in occasionally when I'm really at the bottom and never have to worry about battery life. Great. The rest of the changes appear at the front with rounder screen edges, very Pixel 2 XL-ish, a slightly smaller bottom chin versus the 5T, and that height extension around notch. So you get a taller 1080p display with 19:9 aspect ratio. It's still a pentile matrix, but I'm not complaining. It's a good panel with deep blacks and color calibration available. I keep mine on a P3 profile for that slightly natural saturation boost. The clock is now on the left side of the notch, and I've actually grown to like the black space despite how the proportions feel off, like that slight angle on the sides that doesn't really match the curvature of the corners, but hiding the notch is of course an option and one way to revive the freshness of the device. The only complaint here though, the top curvature does not match the bottom corners when the notch is hidden, but I'm really happy that we have per app control of how the notch is used in full screen mode. So for example, I don't mind the notch being there all the time except for video playback because the left side just looks terrible. So I can disable the notch, for example, just for YouTube and enjoy my full experience there without the notch, but exiting to any other app and the notch returns. The execution here with the notch is fantastic and takes into account user preference. The rest of the software experience should be familiar and smooth. You can change the system font, color accent, enable ambient wake to glance at incoming notifications, assign all types of gestures like 3-finger screenshot, double tap to wake or lock, and even enable navigation gestures that work really well, but are slightly slower versus traditional buttons, and for a large phone like it, it may be uncomfortable to use. I love the warmer tones for reading mode and per app activation or gaming mode that disables notifications, and overall the touch interface feels great, but there are slowdowns when launching the camera from the lock screen. It just takes a second too long to load for some reason, and 4 out of the 5 times I hear the unlock sound effect before the screen wakes up, giving me the perception of lag. Now I found that if I disable the face unlock, I can get into the camera quicker and unlocks my phone faster too. It's like almost instantaneous. You don't have the lag and the sound effect, delay. So potentially disable the face unlock to get a smoother experience. Now me handling cameras all day, I like what the OnePlus 6 captures. It maintains the right amount of contrast and color with good dynamic range, but keep away from harsh light because it flares easily and can ruin photos. The portrait mode is fantastic, subject isolation is excellent while keeping the same field of view, and I use this all the time for that fancy camera look. The selfie cam is decent, but it's no good for group shots as it naturally blurs out the background, so I'm the only one in focus all the time. And we also now have this portrait mode for selfie cam that over sharpens the subject to emphasize what's in focus. And you also get that bokeh shape customization with either larger circles, hearts, or stars, and it actually remembers your settings, so don't forget to disable it. As for video modes, 4K 60 is here with stabilization, focus, and detail that is awesome. Plus, I love the slow motion that you can record for a full minute and then cut out only what's needed. phone definitely got soaked in the mist. It is water resistant, just don't swim with it. And so it's interesting how the OnePlus 6 has turned around on me. You know, as with everything that's not satisfactory, you kind of adapt. And with this one, I didn't really like it in the beginning, but then I put the case over the glass, I configured the notch accordingly, disabled Face Unlock, and run a Pixel launcher. And you know, it's not that different from the 5 or the 5T. OnePlus is moving along with the market trends with the notch and the glass back. But if you're potentially thinking of upgrading from the 5 or the 5T, potentially wait for the 6T, because that may be a larger incremental differences versus what you receive with the OnePlus 6. This is a great phone. I will be upgrading from a 5T. I like OnePlus's direction in terms of cleanliness of the software with their Oxygen OS, fast updates, beautiful hardware, and I'm actually super excited to see how they can improve on the next iteration and like how can they step up their game with the 6T. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. All right, guys, I'm Dimitri. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and check out this other relevant content, and we'll see you in the next video. Let me know what you think of the OnePlus 6 too. Peace out.